English talking practice. Leo loved English films, devouring every storyline and character with immense passion. However, when it came to speaking, a frustrating silence descended upon him, a stark contrast to his vivid imagination. He yearned to articulate his thoughts in fluent English, to join conversations without the internal struggle that always held him back. This dream felt perpetually out of reach, a distant star. His attempts at English talking practice often ended in crushing self-doubt and profound disappointment. He'd open his mouth, ready to form a coherent sentence, only to stumble over words, grammar, and pronunciation. The feeling of being tongue-tied, of knowing the answer but failing to express it, was an incredibly frustrating and demoralizing experience for him. He often just gave up. Friends and online forums constantly offered advice on how to talk in English, suggesting rote memorization, language exchange partners, or expensive classes. He tried them all, diligently following every piece of counsel. Yet, despite his best efforts, the fear of making mistakes persisted, a relentless shadow clinging to his linguistic aspirations. He desperately sought a breakthrough. He dedicated countless hours to listen and practice, immersing himself in podcasts, audiobooks, and documentaries. His comprehension improved dramatically, allowing him to understand complex dialogues and nuanced expressions. Nevertheless, the chasm between understanding and actively producing language remained vast and intimidating. His brain processed, but his mouth refused to cooperate freely. The question, "Why I always make mistakes?" echoed endlessly in his mind, a constant tormentor. He felt a profound sense of inadequacy, believing himself somehow uniquely flawed in his language learning journey. Every mispronounced word, every grammatical error, felt like a monumental failure, reinforcing his belief that fluency was an impossible dream he should abandon. The common mantra to start step-by-step talking seemed overly simplistic and agonizingly slow for his impatient spirit. He wanted rapid progress, an immediate transformation, not the tedious, incremental improvements suggested by others. This impatience often led him to abandon methods before they could truly take root, seeking a magical shortcut that didn't exist. He explored every conceivable pathway on how to learn English, from intensive online courses to elaborate flashcard systems and daily journaling. Each new method promised a solution, yet none seemed to unlock the spontaneous flow of conversation he so desperately craved. He felt increasingly defeated, nearing the point of accepting his fate as a lifelong English learner. One quiet evening, engulfed in despair after another failed attempt at conversation, a peculiar, unconventional idea flickered into his mind. It wasn't something he'd ever considered before, something that felt almost absurd in its simplicity. Yet, the sheer desperation propelled him to entertain even the most outlandish possibilities for overcoming his linguistic hurdle. He vaguely recalled an article about the therapeutic benefits of talking to oneself, how it could organize thoughts and boost confidence. While the context was different, a seed of inspiration was planted. What if this seemingly strange habit could be repurposed for his language goals, transforming a personal quirk into a powerful learning tool? The concept of start talking at home began to solidify, evolving beyond mere self-talk. He realized the comfort and privacy of his own space could create a judgment-free zone, ideal for experimenting with his verbal skills. This new approach promised a sanctuary where he could practice without the crippling fear of external criticism or embarrassment, just pure uninhibited expression. But just talking to himself felt a bit lonely. He needed something more, an illusion of interaction, a receptive, non-judgmental audience, however inanimate. This crucial element, he instinctively knew, would provide the necessary psychological buffer, making the practice feel less like madness and more like a genuine, albeit unconventional, conversation. He needed a listening ear. His gaze drifted across his living room, landing upon his vibrant collection of houseplants, a sprawling fern, a sturdy monstera, a delicate orchid. They stood silent, majestic, and utterly oblivious to his linguistic struggles. A wild, eccentric notion blossomed. What if these leafy companions could become his steadfast, patient English conversation partners, his silent confidants? How to talk at home to yourself, he mused, then immediately amended, and to plants. The idea was undeniably bizarre, yet it held a certain liberating charm. There would be no interruptions, no corrections, no awkward silences filled with his own self-criticism. Only the gentle rustle of leaves and his own voice filling the quiet room, a perfect, private sanctuary. He decided then and there. His plants, his silent green army, would become his dedicated English practice companions. This unconventional pact offered a unique solution to his chronic speaking anxiety, transforming his living space into a personal language lab. The sheer absurdity of it made him smile, a genuine smile, for the first time in weeks regarding his English. His very first official English talking practice session commenced that evening, directed at his most venerable plant, a majestic fern he affectionately named Freddie. With a deep breath, Leo began, his voice initially hesitant, then gaining a tentative rhythm. He spoke about his day, the weather, and his latest streaming obsession, finding an unexpected comfort. He described his mundane routines, his thoughts on global events, even the plot of a recent movie, stumbling over words, mispronouncing, but crucially, persisting. Freddie, in all his leafy glory, remained steadfast, absorbing Leo's hesitant words without a flicker of judgment. This silent reception was precisely what Leo needed, a space free from the terror of imperfection. Freddie, of course, offered no witty rejoinders, no insightful comments, just silent, unwavering absorption of every word Leo uttered. This lack of verbal feedback was, paradoxically, its greatest strength. It removed all pressure, allowing Leo to focus solely on his own articulation and flow, unburdened by the need for immediate, grammatically perfect responses. Leo started with simple sentences, carefully enunciating each word, embodying the principle of start step-by-step talking. He moved from basic greetings to describing objects in the room, then slowly, painstakingly, progressed to expressing more complex ideas. Each session built upon the last, like constructing a linguistic bridge, one word at a time. He learned to embrace the inherent awkwardness of conversing with plants, transforming it into a cherished daily ritual. This bizarre practice became his sanctuary, a sacred space where he could make mistakes freely, without the crippling fear of ridicule. The comfort of his home, combined with the silent companionship of his plants, fostered a unique learning environment. He talked about everything imaginable, the morning news, his favorite movie scenes, the philosophical musings that kept him awake at night, his deepest hopes and most trivial dreams. His plants became the passive recipients of his entire inner world, a vast reservoir of potential English topics. This endless supply of conversation material fueled his daily sessions. This incredibly unconventional method became Leo's personalized how to learn English blueprint, far more effective than any textbook or online course he had ever tried. Its success lay in its simplicity, its lack of pressure, and its profound personal relevance. He was finally learning, not just memorizing, but truly internalizing the language in a meaningful way. He focused intently on intonation, trying to mimic the natural rhythms and cadences of native English speakers he heard in media. He would repeat phrases, experimenting with different stresses and tones, listening carefully to his own voice. This self-correction, in the absence of external judgment, allowed him to develop a more natural and authentic speaking style. The crushing anxiety of why I always make mistakes became a distant echo. With his plants, mistakes were simply part of the process, a natural stepping stone to improvement, not a source of shame. He could stumble, restart, and correct himself without an audience to impress or disappoint, liberating him from self-imposed linguistic paralysis. The plants were infinitely patient. Unlike human listeners who might fidget or interject, subtly signaling impatience. Their unwavering presence allowed Leo to take his time, to search for the right words, to formulate his thoughts without feeling rushed or judged. This boundless patience fostered an environment of total linguistic freedom and uninhibited exploration. He realized this unique English talking practice was profoundly liberating, transforming his fear of speaking into an exhilarating journey of self-discovery. The sheer act of verbalizing his thoughts, even to non-responsive foliage, began to rewire his brain, strengthening neural pathways for spontaneous English expression. He was building fluency, brick by verbal brick. To further improve your listening skills, Leo integrated active listening into his routine. He would listen to complex English podcasts and then immediately attempt to summarize their content aloud to his botanical buddies. This dual-pronged approach strengthened both his receptive and productive language abilities synergistically. He would then diligently retell the podcast's main points, the intricate arguments, and even the host's tone to his leafy interlocutors. This active recall and summarization process solidified new vocabulary and grammatical structures in his mind, making them readily accessible for future use. It was effective active learning in action. This conscious effort to rephrase and explain what he had heard significantly boosted his overall comprehension and retention. He was no longer passively consuming content. He was actively processing and reproducing it, a critical step in genuine language acquisition. His listening skills sharpened dramatically, picking up nuances he previously missed. Every evening, his cozy apartment transformed into a peculiar, yet highly effective, language laboratory. The air hummed not just with the quiet life of plants, but with the vibrant energy of Leo's expanding English vocabulary and increasing fluency. This dedicated space became a sanctuary for his linguistic growth, a place of constant, uninhibited practice. Leo started noticing subtle yet undeniable improvements in his speaking fluency. Sentences flowed more smoothly. Pauses became less frequent, and he found himself grasping for words far less often. The fragmented, hesitant speech of before began to give way to a more continuous and natural rhythm, a true sign of progress. The English words that once felt alien, clumsy, and difficult to pronounce now rolled off his tongue with surprising ease and familiarity. It was as if his mouth and brain had finally synchronized, working in harmony to produce coherent thought. The language was becoming less a puzzle and more an intuitive extension of himself. His confidence grew exponentially with each consistent, daily plant-based monologue. The internal critic that had once paralyzed him was now quieted, replaced by a growing sense of accomplishment and self-assurance. He found himself more willing to engage with real-world English, empowered by his private practice sessions. The debilitating fear of why I always make mistakes gradually faded away, replaced by a pragmatic understanding that errors were merely stepping stones, not roadblocks. He learned to view them as opportunities for learning and refinement, rather than as indicators of failure. This shift in mindset was truly transformative for his progress. He was no longer translating word for word in his head, agonizing over grammatical structures before speaking. Instead, thoughts directly formed into English sentences, a spontaneous and exhilarating shift. This fluid, unmediated expression was the very essence of true fluency, a dream he once thought unattainable, now a daily reality. This was genuine how to talk in English, without the crushing pressure of social judgment or performance anxiety. It was practice for the sake of practice, pure and unadulterated, allowing him to experiment, stumble, and refine his speech in a truly safe and supportive environment. This freedom accelerated his learning exponentially. The simple method of start talking at home to his plants proved profoundly effective, far exceeding his initial, admittedly skeptical, expectations. It provided a consistent, accessible, and judgment-free platform for continuous linguistic output, something traditional methods often lacked. His living room had truly become his language sanctuary. His listen and practice sessions also became significantly more focused and fruitful. Because he knew he would be summarizing the content to his plants, he listened with a deeper, more analytical ear, actively searching for key information and specific vocabulary. This conscious intent supercharged his comprehension and retention abilities. He could discern different accents and regional nuances with effortless clarity now, a skill that had previously eluded him. His ear was finely tuned, distinguishing subtleties in pronunciation and intonation that allowed for a richer, more comprehensive understanding of spoken English. The world of English audio opened up to him. One ordinary afternoon, his phone rang. It was an old friend, Liam, calling from abroad, and to Leo's surprise, Liam chose to speak entirely in English. A familiar wave of panic threatened to overwhelm Leo, but something was different this time. His ingrained fear seemed less potent, almost negligible. To his own astonishment, Leo responded naturally, without the usual hesitation, stuttering, or self-consciousness that had plagued him for years. The words flowed, not perfectly, but smoothly and coherently, articulating his thoughts with unexpected ease. He found himself engaging in a proper conversation, a true breakthrough moment for him. Liam was visibly astonished, his voice reflecting genuine surprise at Leo's sudden, remarkable fluency and clear articulation. "Leo, when did you get so good?" he exclaimed, clearly impressed. Leo just chuckled, a secret smile playing on his lips, a silent testament to his unconventional language journey. Leo just smiled, a deep, contented smile that held a lifetime of quiet victories. Thinking of Freddie and all the other leafy, silent listeners who had patiently borne witness to his linguistic evolution. They were the unsung heroes of his transformation, his most dedicated and non-judgmental teachers, forever rooted in his success story. He knew his conscious efforts to how to improve your listening skills had paid off immensely, allowing him to understand every word Liam spoke without strain. The combination of active listening and the continuous verbal output had created a powerful synergy, finally unlocking his full linguistic potential. This very interesting story of his bizarre yet highly effective journey from hesitant speaker to confident communicator had only just begun. It was a testament to the power of unconventional thinking and the profound impact of creating a safe space for learning. His unique path was a beacon of hope for others. He continued his unique English talking practice, ritual daily, cherishing the quiet moments with his plant companions. It was no longer just about improving. It was about the pure joy of expressing himself in English, a newfound freedom he had discovered through his peculiar method. The habit had become intrinsically rewarding. His journey taught him that true language learning is fundamentally about consistency, unwavering persistence, and discovering a method tailored to one's personal comfort and learning style. It wasn't about textbook perfection, but about embracing the process, flaws and all, with a genuine desire to communicate effectively and joyfully. The key, he realized, was simply to start step by step talking in an environment where fear of judgment was completely absent. This fundamental insight transformed his approach, turning a daunting task into an enjoyable and empowering daily activity. The freedom to make mistakes was paramount, and that environment, for him, unexpectedly, was his plant-filled apartment, a sanctuary of green life and linguistic growth. It was a testament to the fact that innovation and learning doesn't always come from elaborate methods, but often from simple, accessible, and personally meaningful adaptations. His home was his classroom. He had, against all odds and conventional wisdom, found his ultimate how to learn English strategy, rooted in self-acceptance and consistent, uninhibited practice. It was a reminder that the best solutions are often the most personal, born from a deep understanding of one's own struggles and learning preferences. His truly remarkable story began to circulate among his friends and acquaintances, becoming an unexpected source of inspiration for countless others struggling with language acquisition. It was living proof that progress often arises from embracing unique, seemingly strange methods when conventional approaches fall short of expectations. Proving definitively that unconventional methods, when consistently applied with dedication, can indeed yield extraordinary and deeply satisfying linguistic results. His journey highlighted the often overlooked power of creating a personal, safe learning space where one can experiment and grow without external pressure or judgment. His journey highlighted the profound power of persistence, self-belief, and the courage to deviate from traditional paths when seeking genuine self-improvement. It wasn't just about English. It was about discovering an inner resilience he never knew he possessed, a testament to his unwavering determination. He became living proof that anyone, regardless of past failures or inherent self-doubt, can absolutely overcome daunting language barriers with the right mindset and a personalized approach. His success story offered a beacon of hope, inspiring countless others to redefine their own learning journeys. The quiet companions, the silent, unassuming plants, had indeed been his greatest, most patient, and most non-judgmental teachers. They had offered the unwavering support he needed to blossom linguistically, embodying the true spirit of unconditional presence. Their leafy silence was the foundation of his verbal freedom. His fluency blossomed, much like his beloved houseplants, thriving under his consistent care and attention. Each new word he learned, each sentence he formed, felt like a fresh leaf unfurling, adding to the vibrant tapestry of his expanding linguistic world. His garden of words was thriving. He realized that the arduous journey of language learning wasn't ultimately about achieving absolute perfection, but about the continuous, exhilarating process of consistent progress. It was about embracing the imperfections, celebrating the small victories, and finding joy in the everyday act of self-improvement. And progress, he understood, stemmed directly from consistent, joyful, uninhibited practice, free from fear and self-criticism. His unique story continues to inspire, a testament to the idea that sometimes the most effective path to success is the one we discover for ourselves, nurtured in the quiet comfort of home.